What would you do if a power-hungry HOA president blocked an ambulance from saving your spouse's life, all to protect her precious neighborhood aesthetic? Imagine the rage, the helplessness, knowing every second wasted could mean permanent harm to the person you love most. That's exactly what happened to me, and trust me, it's a story that'll make your blood boil. My name's D. Harper, and for over 2 decades, I've poured my heart into emergency services. 3 months ago, I took the fire chief job in Columbia County, Florida, Missouri, VYing with my wife, Emily, to Palm Harbor Estates, a fancy gated community. We thought it'd be a fresh start, gorgeous single-level homes, wide doorways, and a secure setup perfect for Emily, who's been battling multiple sclerosis for 5 years. The real estate agent HYP1:1 gushed about the pool, the medical center nearby, the works. What they didn't mention. The HOA president, Margaret Langley, a woman who wielded the community rulebook like it was the 10 Commandments, handed down straight from heaven. I'd spent my life running toward danger, starting as a volunteer firefighter at 18, climbing the ranks to captain, then assistant chief in Sarasota County. When Columbia County offered me the fire chief role, it was the pinnacle of my career, a chance to lead a department, overhaul safety protocols, and build something lasting. The timing felt right. Emily's MS was getting worse, and Palm Harbor's accessibility promised her the independence she craved. We paid a premium for the house, thinking it'd be a safe haven. Boy, were we wrong. Emily and I met 12 years ago when I responded to a small kitchen fire at the elementary school where she taught 2nd grade. She was calm as a summer breeze, ensuring every kid was safe before letting medics check her for smoke inhalation. I asked her out for coffee the next day, and that was it. To her hooked. Her warmth, her grit, her quiet strength stole my heart. We'd hike, kayak, bike on weekends. But 5 years ago, after months of odd symptoms, fatigue, numbness, dropping things, a neurologist confirmed MS, a progressive disease eating away at her nervous system. Some days she's nearly her old self, others she's in a wheelchair. Each year, the bad days creep up, but Emily? She's a fighter. She left teaching but started tutoring kids at home, volunteering with the MS Society when she could. I can't control what MS takes, she'd say, but I can control how I fight it. Palm Harbor seemed like the answer, close to a top-notch medical center, accessible amenities, the works. Sure, the due law $450 monthly HOA fees stung, but we figured it was worth it. We should have noticed the red flags. The agent bragged about the community's meticulous standards, handing us a 100-page HOA handbook dictating everything from paint shades to grass height, 2.5 inches, no exceptions. Margaret Langley, the HOA president, was a mid-60s widow with silver hair and a permanent scowl, patrolling with a tablet like a cop hunting speeding tickets. Her late husband was a big-shot developer, and she turned her grief into a crusade to micromanage Palm Harbor's prestige. We met Margaret during a new resident approval meeting in the clubhouse. She sat behind a mahogany desk, eyeing us like we were on trial. "Chief and Mrs. Harper," she said, flipping through a file already thick with our info. "We're thrilled to welcome such esteemed residents. Palm Harbor upholds the highest standards in the county." Her eyes lingered on Emily's wheelchair. "I see you have special needs. We allow medical accommodations, but we prefer they're not visible from the street." That word saw dripped with expectation. I explained we need full accessibility, with plans to meet both Emily's needs and HOA rules. Margaret's smile tightened. "Our architectural review is rigorous. We've maintained a flawless aesthetic for 15 years under my leadership." Emily, ever the peacemaker, chimed in. "We respect community standards and want to work together to find solutions." Margaret nodded, but her eyes said, follow my rules or else. We left uneasy but hopeful that clear communication would smooth things over. Spoiler, it didn't. Trouble started days after we moved in. We applied for a wheelchair ramp at the front door, submitting designs to match our home's Mediterranean vibe. Margaret shot it down, claiming it'd Disrupt the streetscape's harmony. She suggested a side entrance like forcing Emily to sneak in like a delivery guy. I appealed, arguing it was impractical and degrading. After weeks of wrangling, she approved a ramp half the width we needed, at triple the cost. Then came the parking fight. We'd converted our garage for Emily's physical therapy gear, so our medical van with a wheelchair lift sat in the driveway. One Sunday, Margaret showed up with a violation notice. "Commercial vehicles aren't allowed in driveways," she said, peering past me at Emily. "It creates an unsightly atmosphere." "It's not commercial," I said, keeping my cool. "It's modified for my wife's disability." Her smile was ice. "The bylaws classify any vehicle with VY-Cybel equipment as commercial. That's through Law 250 daily." I cited the Americans with Disabilities Act, but she snapped. "The ADA doesn't override the contract you signed. Residents with special needs often prefer less strict communities." It was a thinly veiled saw-get-out saw. She kept coming citations for a medical alert button by the pool, wheelchairs on our patio, you name it. Every time, I countered with laws and logic. Every time, she found a loophole. It wasn't just us. Margaret's enforcement was selective. Our neighbor, a retired banker, parked his golf cart in his driveway overnight, no fine. Another had an unapproved basketball hoop crickets. But us? We were the new folks with VY-Cybel medical gear, clashing with Margaret's VY-Shown of a flawless, affluent utopia. Neighbors whispered about her tyranny, petty fines, denied requests, but most stayed quiet, too scared to fight. Margaret had ruled the HOA for 15 years, unchallenged, because no one dared run against her. The VYC president, Thomas Reed, a retired lawyer, was different, fair, approachable. He tried to mediate, but Margaret steamrolled him. "She means well," he told me at a pool party, voice low. "She thinks she's protecting property values. But she lacks compassion." Meanwhile, I was swamped as fire chief, fixing a department with outdated gear and slow response times. Emily was settling in, tutoring, blogging about life with MS, and making friends. Then came the day everything exploded. It was a Wednesday, and I was at the station analyzing response times. Gated communities like Palm Harbor were a nightmare. Gates slowed us down. At 2:17 p.m., a call hit. Emily, home alone, had a severe MS flare-up, numbness, VY-Shown issues, slurred speech. She dialed 911. The dispatcher alerted me as paramedic Alex Carter, a rock-solid medic, raced to our house. I was halfway to my SUV when Alex radioed. "Chief, we're being denied entry at Palm Harbor's gate." My heart stopped. "Denied? It's an emergency." Alex sounded tense. "HOA president's blocking us. Says we're violating rules about commercial vehicles." I snapped. "Put her on." Margaret's voice was crisp. "This is Margaret Langley, HOA president." I cut in. "This is Fire Chief Harper. That ambulance is for my wife. She needs help, saw now, saw." Her tone didn't budge. "Our bylaws prohibit emergency vehicles from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. without approval, except for fires. It preserves our peaceful atmosphere." "She has MS. This saw is an emergency," I roared. Margaret didn't flinch. "Medical transport isn't an exception. Perhaps your wife could come to the gate, or use a private vehicle." The idea of Emily barely able to move dragging herself to the gate was insane. I was speeding toward Palm Harbor, lights flashing. "That ambulance is coming through. Block it, and you'll be removed and charged." She scoffed. "No need for threats, Chief. Your position doesn't grant special privileges." I hung up, shaking with fear for Emily and fury at Margaret's arrogance. When I reached the gate, it was chaos. Margaret's BMW blocked the ambulance. She stood there, arms crossed, HOA binder on her hood like a trophy. The gate guard, Joe, looked miserable but hadn't defied her. A crowd had formed, some filming, others yelling. Thomas Reed was pleading. "Margaret, this is an emergency. The rules don't apply here." She snapped. Rules are rules, Thomas. If we bend them, what's next? Delivery trucks claiming emergencies? I stormed out in full chief's gear. Margaret was lecturing Alex about proper channels. I cut in, voice like steel. Move your car. Now. She turned, annoyed, then recognized me. Chief Harper, I understand your concern, but our standards. I stepped closer. My wife's in crisis. Every second you waste could ruin her health. Move. She didn't budge. The rules apply to everyone, Chief. This is a felony under Florida law, I said, voice low. You're obstructing emergency services. A nurse in the crowd shouted. An MS flare can cause permanent damage. This isn't about rules, it's a life. Margaret's jaw clenched. I sympathize, but... I exploded. You don't sympathize, or you wouldn't be standing here while my wife suffers. Thomas stepped up. Margaret, let them through. She sputtered the bylaws. I cut her off. Florida Statute 843.02 makes this a crime. If Emily's hurt worse because of you, I'll make sure you face the maximum penalty. Thomas turned to Joe. Open the gate. Emergency vehicles have priority bylaws, Section 12. Joe, relieved, complied. Margaret, fuming, moved her car when I warned it'd be impounded. The ambulance sped through. I followed, Margaret trailing us, still clutching her binder. At home, I found Emily on the bedroom floor, conscious but dazed, her right side limp. I tried to reach the bathroom. She whispered. My legs gave out. I knelt beside her. You're okay now, love. We're here. Alex's assessment was grim. Weakness, slurred speech, the shown lost classic MS flare. We need her to the hospital for 4 steroids. As they prepped her, Margaret appeared in our doorway, Thomas behind her. Chief Harper, she started. Emergency vehicles in the driveway violate section. I cut her off, voice lethal. My wife's in crisis. One more word about rules and you're arrested. Clear? Thomas pulled her away, muttering. We'll talk later. I overheard her hiss. He can't speak to me like that. Thomas shot back. You endangered his wife. We need an emergency board meeting. Emily's flare was brutal. The hospital neurologist, Dr. Kim, said the delay likely worsened nerve damage. Time's critical in these flares, she said. Any delay in steroids increases harm. Emily, from her bed, squeezed my hand. Don't let this eat you up, DVYD. I see you plotting. I grinned. Not revenge, justice. And prevention. This can't happen again. As fire chief, I dug in. The county attorney confirmed Margaret's actions were criminal. A safety inspection of Palm Harbor revealed fire code violations, blocked hydrants, and unapproved emergency protocols, all under Margaret's watch. I called a meeting with the HOA board, county commissioners, and first responders. Margaret arrived, expecting to dominate. Instead, I presented radio logs and resident videos of her blocking the ambulance. The board was stunned. Margaret interrupted. I was enforcing our guidelines, which Chief Harper agreed to. A commissioner leaned in. Are you saying HOA rules trump state law? She backtracked. No, but there are channels for exceptions. Thomas spoke up. The board never approved restricting emergency access. I laid out the violations, each a potential death trap. Palm Harbor has 30 days to fix this, or the county steps in. The board voted to overhaul emergency access and safety rules, sidelining Margaret. She cried vendetta, but Thomas countered. This isn't personal. It's about decency. He moved for a vote on her leadership. Residents, long silenced, spoke out. A veteran fined for a handrail, a mom cited for a temporary ramp. The pattern was clear. Margaret targeted the vulnerable. 2 weeks later, she was ousted. Thomas took over, apologizing to us and greenlighting our modifications. The fallout? I helped draft the Harper Protocol, ensuring emergency access countywide. Margaret sold her house and left, dropping a note. I regret any distress, but I upheld our standards. Palm Harbor will rue abandoning its principles. Emily, recovering with therapy, laughed. She still doesn't get it. Rules serve people, not the other way around. 6 months later, Palm Harbor was a model for accessibility. Emily's advocacy with the MS Society soared, her blog inspiring thousands. At a community barbecue, Thomas toasted us to the Harpers, who showed us a community's strength lies in caring for its weakest. Emily whispered, "Not how we plan to fit in, huh?" I chuckled. "Nope. But the best change comes from the worst fights." In 20 years of emergencies, nothing hit harder than seeing my wife's ambulance blocked by a rulebook tyrant. Rules matter, but when they're weapons, they're deadly. If that fires you up, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Ever dealt with an HOA horror show? Tell me below.